So this last video, what I want to address is recruiting. This seems to be the biggest issue of the bunch, and mainly because schools besides Baylor and UT have brought this issue to the forefront. And I respect all institutions involved, other than Baylor and UT's position. I have no respect for either one of them, just because they're both completely remiss of any logical thinking, and Baylor brought it up as just kind of a footnote to their lawsuit because Baylor's Baylor, and then UT brings it up. I don't know. It was almost like a. I don't even know why UT brings it up. I can't fathom the reason any knowledgeable college football fan who roots for UT would ever say, "Oh, this might jeopardize our recruiting." If you really want to cut down to the brass tacks, UT jeopardized more recruiting for the state of Texas when they disbanded the Southwest Conference. They had no concern about Texas at that point. They threw a bunch of Texas teams under the bus and just went right on rolling by. So they opened it up to a bevy of other teams like Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, Kansas State, Missouri, Colorado. Oh, yeah, all these other teams. So they opened the doors, and they were okay at that point. You know, if you want to start really getting down to it, Todd Reesing, the quarterback that led that great Kansas team from Texas. Um, Chase Daniel, who led that really good Missouri team from Texas. What's that one? The kid from Kansas State. I think he's from Texas too. So even if he's not, it doesn't matter. There are players that play for Kansas State who are from Texas. Point being, all of these recruits have been poached because UT couldn't stand playing in the Southwest Conference with Texas teams anymore. So for them now to champion the state that they so willingly threw under the bus, 16 years ago, is just it's childish, it's hypocritical, it's stupid, ignorant. There are so many adjectives I could throw at that. I don't want to spend any more time on it. That's just stupid. And then if you really want to go further into the issue, last year UT was talking about how TCU is not Big 12 caliber. At the time, the Big 12 seemed like it might stick around because of the whole talks in the summer. TCU not good enough. Big 12 starts getting shaky. All of a sudden, TCU is the saving grace. There is your jeopardization of UT recruits. You now have a school that can not only compete with you in football, but beat you consistently, who is now in a conference that has a direct path to a national championship, and you're worried about A&M going to the SEC. When you start looking at things in the SEC, the bigger threat to the SEC recruiting in Texas is Will Muschamp, who happened to be Texas's defensive coordinator. Of course, everybody was angry at Muschamp when he left for the job in Florida. I had so many people I know that are UT fans that were talking shit about him. And Will Muschamp did a lot for that university. I have to say he was one of the few UT coaches that not only did I respect, but I secretly wished he would come to A&M. I secretly wished A&M would have went after Muschamp for their own head coach. I would totally have been for poaching him from the University of Florida and putting him at the head of the A&M program because he is that good. Of course, UT has no respect for somebody after they leave the program, so he gets whatever they feel is necessary. That's just a lack of respect in a sense, but can't really change that. Anyway, that's a bigger threat to recruiting in the state of Texas than A&M going to the SEC. The only real contention that Texas can make about recruiting as far as A&M going to the SEC is A&M actually taking recruits from them. Because they already know that there are a bunch of Texas kids who want to play in the SEC. Why? Because they're already playing there. The SEC gets a lot of Texas recruits, whether people want to admit it or not, because apparently reality is just too harsh a dance partner. They don't want to admit it. The SEC takes Texas recruits anyway. I mean, Greg McElroy, the person who beat UT in the 2009 Bowl, he was a product of Texas high school football. It's happened. It's happening. You know, if you wanted to have a serious issue with recruits, it should have been made when the Southwest Conference disbanded. That's the issue you should have made. At that point, there wasn't this huge mass media, the internet wasn't huge, and there wasn't this interconnected idea that people had. So leaving home was a little bit bigger of a challenge at the time. Well, now it's not. Now everything is an instant away on a computer, just like I'm talking to you right now, via computer, via websites, via servers. So now this idea makes everything a lot more close knit. So recruiting was going this way anyway. To say us moving to the SEC makes it any more expedient is almost a joke. I mean, might it speed some of it up? Yeah, you're talking about some of the lower class talent, the 2 and 3 star players who wouldn't get as much focus from the SEC prior. Now they'll be able to pick them up as, a utility offensive lineman or a utility defensive lineman. Guess what? The SEC doesn't want that talent. You should know this. The SEC has been gunning from the same talent that you've been gunning for, and that's what annoys you. They now have the whole pitch. They can say, well, we play in Texas now. You'll be able to play a game in your home state. And does that open that one little door up? Yes. Yes, it does. Without a doubt, it does. But the fact is, it benefits us so much more that it's not even funny. Why would we care about you? Why at this point would we care about UT? We won't. Now, to address the other schools' concerns, I understand. The SEC might be poaching these utility linemen out of people that you would put on your starting lines. I feel for you. There's not much I can say other than I'm sorry. There's not much I can do. It benefits the university that I love, and I understand the move, and it's more about recruiting other sports than football anyway, so I want to make that point just absolutely clear. We care more about other sports. If we cared about football, yeah, we would stay in freaking Big 12. It is an easier path to the championship. And I hate the fact that UT makes that a point for us not going to the SEC. That's a fucking joke. I mean, that's like saying, oh, well, stay in this school because you'll pass, not learn anything, but you'll pass, but go to this other school that challenges you and might fail. I'd rather try and fail than have this simple walk to the championship through the Big 12. So, there's that. Now, back to the recruiting issue, again, I feel for the other Texas universities. The only thing I can say is every single one that I've mentioned so far, you've all had the chance to do something for your athletic programs. Your respective institutions chose not to. Roberson Stadium in Houston was just completely dilapidated, never renovated. So, Houston slipped into the Conference USA, and SMU, you were the ones who really started the whole boat rocking in the first place, so I have no sympathy for the devil. TCU, you got the short end of the stick. You're, a smaller university. You're finally coming up in the world, and I severely hope that you beat every team in the Big 12 and win that title next year. But at the same time, I mean, it just does not have as big an impact on your recruiting as any of you want to really say. I mean, I respect your opinions and I respect your stance, but at the same time, you have to respect A&M for finally saying, we've had enough. We're tired of the complete disrespect we get. We're going to some place that we may not get any respect, but I'd rather get disrespected in a neighbor's house than disrespected in my own living room.